Shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight. Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome to the Once Who Woke Up podcast. This is Joshua Barnett, and I've got my guest here, Adam Boules, local comedian out of Austin, Texas. Yeah. And why don't you just turn to the camera and introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about what you have going on.
So my name is Adam Boules. I'm a stand-up comic, been in the game for 3 years. Moved to Austin last year. Got my start in Chicago. I was up there for about a year before everything shut down, so part of the pandemic exodus down to Texas. And it's been really good so far. Met a lot of people, got a lot of stage time. I run my own show, which is on the second Friday of every month at the Alamo Draft House, Muller. So that's been really successful. Yeah, had over 50 people show up for the first show.
I'm so upset that I didn't know about that offhand. Like, we need to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to be there, bro.
You're invited.
Right, but I want to sponsor the thing. I want to go out there and like give drinks and beer and like smoke and whatever to like all the comedians, all the talent. I like to take care of the talent, man.
Absolutely. I mean, second Friday of every month. So it was just this past Friday.
That's so cool. I didn't realize you were running your own shows, man.
Yeah. Well, it materialized, I think, after we met. Because
so that makes sense.
We met. When did we meet?
Like 2 months ago, a little over 2 months ago.
Around there, yeah.
But right about that time is when it was popping. So okay. Perfect.
Right. Yeah. Cool. So yeah. July was our first show. 50 plus people. Second one, we got that up to 75 plus.
Wow.
Yeah. So we ran out of seating.
I think I saw Audrey sharing that she was going to be doing a show at the Alamo Draft House.
She was one of our comics.
So cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to have to be there. I'm going to have to make it out to that. There's 0% chance that I won't be at the next one. We're going to have to link up. Have to link up when the cameras are off.
Yeah.
Do like business time.
Sounds good.
Make some stuff happen, bro, because I really love your stand-up, and I really love your vibe, and I think that anything that you're doing is going to be like top-notch. And so I want to be a part of that in any way that I can to help like make it better, right?
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And maybe I'll be able to poach some people, come get them to my podcast studio.
Sure.
Like man. I did, like because you're not so like the way that I got you here is I was sponsoring Ozzy's thing.
Right.
Ozzy was doing the Grindstone thing in Pflugerville. That's whenever I was like, hey man, fucking sponsor, what's up? Come fuck me at the podcast studio. We'll have a good time. And so hopefully I'll be able to do something similar over there. But either way, the point of this podcast isn't for me to turn into like a greedy capitalist predator. Which maybe I'm just in like predator mode because the thing that we just did, Elias and I, who's slightly off camera, we just did an iteration of his podcast called Shut Up, You'll Listen.
Okay.
And we do occasionally a thing called We Watched.
Okay.
And the thing that we watched recently was Prey. The new Predator movie. Have you seen that shit?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Bro, it's so fucking good. Have you seen any of the other Predator movies?
I think I saw, like the AVP versus Predator.
That was the worst one.
Yeah, I know.
Have you seen the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No.
Oh my god, have you seen the one with Danny Glover?
No.
Oh my god, bro. So I can't even say, it's like, bro, it's got no story.
Okay.
It's just Predator murdering Predator murdering motherfuckers, bro.
Awesome.
It's beautiful. Highly recommended, bro.
Yeah.
Prey on Hulu. It's so fucking good. It's everything you want out of a Predator movie, which you don't have a proper conception of what you need to expect out of a Predator movie because all you have is the shitty Alien vs. Predator. I think Alien vs. Predator got like a 1.8 on Rotten Tomatoes. Bro.
It wasn't my choice to watch it. It was thrust upon me. You know?
I don't think it was anybody's choice to watch that movie, if I'm being really fucking frank.
Height of versus, so you had like Predator versus Jason, Alien versus Predator, trash movies.
Yeah, so they did make that right during the hype of like all the like bad guy versus bad guy movies, like Elias was saying, Alien versus Predator, Freddy versus Jason, shit like that.
Right. Batman versus Superman, or is that?
Yeah, that tracks. That tracks.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of Batman, bro, I have an idea for a Batman movie.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna pitch it so that it lives digitally.
All right.
Have you seen the movie The Town?
No. What's it about?
It's like fucking the guy who plays the second and newest Batman.
Okay.
The guy who's like dating Jennifer Lopez. I can't remember his fucking name.
Ben Affleck?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ben Affleck. he's like a bank robber, and like him and his buddies who like
in Boston.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
I might have seen it.
Yeah, so like a lovable group of like anti-heroes who are like ripping off big corporations but doing right by the people in their community.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
And the whole movie, they're being stalked and just disappeared by this like dark figure.
Okay.
And by the end of the movie, it's revealed that it's fucking Batman.
Okay.
And so it's like a horror movie where like you're fucking getting this love for these anti-heroes who are like ripping off Wells Fargo because fuck Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
And they're like throwing barbecues for the kids, and then like they go to the alley and just Batman's on them, and like all you see is like black figure, they disappear, and like horror type shit. And then like by the end of it, like you get like Batman walking out from the shadows revealing that he's Batman.
But isn't Batman a good guy? So like why is he kind of attacking these guys who are like, yeah, they're robbers, but they're like noble robbers, I guess, right? Like,
Bro, are you kidding? Batman's a Trump supporter. Like, are you like? Let's be fucking frank. Batman could do way better just by paying his fair share of taxes.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Like, the guy's out breaking drug dealer spines. Okay, like he's never. I've never been like the biggest. Like, bro, go back and listen to like the cartoons where he's talking with Poison Ivy.
Okay.
And Poison Ivy's like, I want to stop the corporations because they're poisoning the planet and shit. And he's like,
okay.
Fuck what you're talking about. Fuck Poison Ivy.
Well,
corporations, like he's
well, he's a billionaire, right? Or a millionaire or something. Yeah,
he's like one of the richest, most powerful men on the planet. And so he's definitely like leaning in the direction. Well, it's at the end of the day, it's like lawful good. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like following the law type shit, not morals and ethics.
Gotcha.
And that's where like Batman runs astray with me, where it's like,
I
don't think the guy selling a nickel bag on the side of the road needs to be like under threat of Batman getting them. I think that the 1,000 guys on the island who run the planet and are predators and like hold down the planet as bad guys need to be the guys fearing Batman. But they're operating legally, so like Batman's good to go. But like the guy who's just like trying to feed his family by selling a nickel sack that evening is like literally like, there's a bat signal in the sky. I can't sell drugs this evening. So you know, I've always had a little bit of a bone to pick with Batman, just like in premise. But let's be fucking frank. Batman's like one of the goats. Like he's a badass. I don't want to I don't want to turn into a conversation about the politics of a fictional superhero, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm not like that entrenched in like superheroes and comics and stuff. But after you said that, it just seems like Batman's a little like propagandist.
Yeah.
You know, like capitalist propagandist type thing.
Yeah, bro.
Not that I'm a socialist, but, you know.
But, like, you can call a spade, even if you're not playing cards. And so, I think that it's definitely, like, a ploy. Like, whenever I saw the clips of, like, Poison Ivy being like, I'm trying to do right by the earth and the plants because corporations are doing bad, and Batman was still like, I'm going to get you. I was like, oh, shit, 10-year-old me missed that Poison Ivy was, like, the good character right here. What the fuck? Like, what was I thinking at 10 years old, bro? I should have seen this.
Yeah.
But so, you said that you're originally from Chicago?
So I lived in Chicago for 6 years before moving here. Kind of been all over. I'm originally from Florida.
Okay.
But
super cool.
I've lived in New York for 4 years, Philly for 5 years. Kind of been all over.
It's like all hard places, man. Like New York, Philly, Chicago. These are like all places where like you're like significantly more likely to experience violence.
Well,
like is that your thing? Is you're like, I'm just gonna go be like a wholesome dude in like the shittiest places I can find and see how long I last?
I don't know. Am I wholesome? But
he's secretly fucking Gronk spiking kittens into the concrete after every show, just like fucking fuck this cat.
Yeah, no. I mean, I liked being in cities. This is going to get political now, but...
Let's say what you got to say.
Until the lockdowns. And then I was like, well, you guys, like...
Fuck this.
Right.
Holy shit.
Like, you're telling me, like, where I can go, where I can't go, where I can work. What, like, I can't perform stand-up. Yeah. Which is the biggest thing to me. And so...
You said to come
peaced out, you know?
So you came to Texas.
So I came to Texas, even though I hate the fucking heat and humidity.
Oh, it's...
But I grew up in Florida, so I'm used to it. Bro, I think it's worse here, though. I'm not sure.
It's different. So it definitely gets, like, a higher temperature. It's not quite as muggy. Like, it's not quite as muggy. It's like Florida's a peninsula state, right? Like, there's no escaping that humidity.
Right.
But Texas is plainly hotter. Like, fucking flat-ass out hotter, bro.
Right.
Yeah, it can get, like, pretty goddamn brutal here.
Yeah.
But, so I assume that you're, like, in Austin at this point?
I'm in South Austin,
Austin, so that's a fun spot, bro.
I mean, it's... I don't like it, to be honest with you. Like, I just rail against Austin. I don't know if I did that bit when you watched me, but like, I'm just not a fan of it.
Well, so what is it about it?
I think it's just like it has a lot of problems. For a city of its size, it has the problems of a much larger city. Mm-hmm. You know, like the ones that I've lived in. Mm-hmm. So, like, you know, the homelessness issue, like the crackheads on 6th Street, like all that kind of stuff.
That's what happens whenever they're like, we'll feed you. Like, bro, there's Caritas on 5th Street, and they'll literally, or 7th Street, one of the two, they literally hand out soup every day.
Yeah.
Like, every day. Like, bro, there is like a epicenter of crime surrounding where they're feeding the homeless. And so,
right.
I don't have necessarily a bone to pick with feeding the homeless, but like, here's the thing,
I don't either.
At some point, if you keep providing the type of help to somebody that they've been getting, and they're not utilizing it in a way that puts them forward, are you really helping them? Or are you just enabling a lifestyle?
Like, is it a stepping stone, or is it just like a permanent thing?
And a lot of those guys are just like in a permanent state of derelicy, where they're just like, I'm a derelict character, and I'm going to sit out here and do nothing. But I've got this idea, where if like it can be proven that you're like habitually homeless, that should be evidence enough that you're mentally ill. And mentally ill to the point that you should be qualifying for disability.
Okay.
Like, just flat ass out, bro. We spend trillions of dollars on like bombs and shit to like
Ukraine.
to like vaporize mud huts.
Yeah.
But we can't get these dudes off the street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, well, I want to start an organization called Building Bridges.
Okay.
Bridges that take you where you're going, not to sleep under.
Right.
And I want to go out and get people to go and bridge the gap between where these people are and the help that they need, because a lot of these people are like sick to the point that they don't trust the government or the system, and they won't go participate in it, and they just wind up living on the street homeless.
Yeah.
Or they're so sick that they don't realize that they're sick, and they don't realize that like they even could qualify. Right. And so, and a lot of these guys, even if they want it, they don't have an ID. Like, bro, if you want to get Social Security disability, like, you gotta have a fucking ID.
Yeah.
If you want an ID, you gotta have
an address.
An address.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that there's just like several links in the chain that these people, there are systems in place for them to get help, but there aren't systems in place for them to get to the point where they can receive it. You feel me?
Yeah.
And so I want to just bridge that gap so that people can actually, like, I do sincerely believe that 90% of the people who are out there homeless are there because they're like sincerely sick. And then there's like 10% of them that are just like awakened Buddhas whose priorities fall outside of what aligns with capitalism, and they're just like chill with like living on the side of the road because they're here now and enjoying themselves, and it's fine. Right? And like those guys who are like gonna just like leech off the system, like they're gonna be there and they're gonna get taken care of, bro.
Yeah.
Like at this point, like I would rather us spend money on taking care of people who are just too fucking lazy to work than us spending money on vaporizing mud huts in the Middle East.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And so I just think that we need to let like love be the guiding principle in how we're like doing these policies and stuff, right? Like, we don't need to be bombing people abroad because we hate them. We need to be helping people here because we love them. And that's like the primary differentiation that I can find between how like the system's operating and how like I feel like it should be working in my heart.
Well, we're bombing them for natural resources, right?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily. So we hate brown people, but we also need their oil. Or we need to steal the oil.
Well, it's like we're bombing them because their government's bad.
Right.
But their government is a group of people that we put in place 60 years ago so that we could pull this trick off
Puppet,
now. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, if you don't think of it as like America versus Iran or this or that, if you think of it as like countries as pieces on a chessboard.
Yeah.
And there's like 500 guys on one side of the board and 500 guys on the other side of the board, and they're playing this game for the sake of enjoyment. Like, no matter what, no matter who wins the chess game that you and I are playing, we're both winning the entire time the game's being played.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's what you would refer to as a Hegelian dialectic. No matter which side of the board you're sitting on when you're one of the oligarchs, you win no matter which side wins.
Right.
Right? Because you were there playing the game, and the point of playing a game is to be playing. Right? And they're actually getting to play the game and live without scarcity, and they're out here dunking on everybody while everybody else is trying to just, like, figure out how to, like, afford rice.
Right.
So I don't know how we got to that point, but like, fuck the oligarchs, bro. Like, seriously, like, the 1,000 guys on the planet who run the planet, those dudes are I don't know if they're necessarily bad guys. I just think that they've been so like conditioned by like generational wealth.
Yeah.
To like have like these like weird values in their heads for like human lives, and like weird values in their heads for like how important it is to like manage a social structure and shit, and like it just like makes sense to them, like sincerely. Like I do sincerely believe that like if we plucked your consciousness and set it in the body of like one of the Rothschilds, and like you came up experiencing the same experiences they had, you'd feel the same way they do, right? Because our experiences are so like broadly conditioned by our environments and the way things come up and the things you hear, right? And so like I do believe that they're doing the best that they can for the sake of like preserving social structures and human life over the course of 1,000,000 years. Like they're like trying to get like to that end goal, right? And I just think that like the means don't necessarily justify the ends unless you're in that circumstance and you can, and you have like the privilege to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a it's a privileged perspective that allows you to act the way they're acting. Yeah. And so eat the rich. That's what it comes down to for Pun.
Well,
eat the rich.
I just wonder if there is like a wealthy person who isn't trying to engage in social engineering, right? Like somebody who just has the money and it's just like living on their island, enjoying themselves, like, and they don't care about, you know, like Bill Gates, like buying up farmland and trying to make us eat bugs and all this shit. Like, is there just like a cool billionaire that like made their money and then they're not worried about the social engineering stuff? I think they're the minority. I think they're the exception.
The overwhelming minority. Right. And so like the members of the Illuminati, right? The Illuminati isn't something that you get invited to. Yeah. An Illuminati member is something that you just are. Right. Right. Like real recognizes real. Like you have $1 billion and we see what you're doing and like we're gonna give you the nudge, come hang out at Bohemian Grove while we like fucking sacrifice a fucking fake girl doll in front of a wood carving out of an owl out of a redwood. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just gonna get real fucking weird. Yeah. And so I do believe that like even those guys who are like what you're describing have at least like been peripherally exposed to it. And they're just like making the choice not to. Right. But you know, at some point, it is like an us versus them thing where like if you're not playing ball with those guys, they're gonna like turn on you and keep you from being able to like continue that lifestyle because they're trying to protect their own interests. And like if you have that type of capacity and you're not on their team, then you're on the team, not them. Right. Right. And so you're gonna turn yourself into an enemy. But my big thing is that like no matter what, bro, like you look at politics and stuff. Like red team, blue team, all that bullshit, not here for it, bro. No. Like Joe Biden, President Trump, the motherfuckers are literally like puppets being controlled by like dudes on an island. Yeah. And I don't give a fuck how hard someone wants to try and convince me that Trump's the modern day living JFK. Not even JFK was JFK that we like to think of. Right. Like even he was a shitball. They're all shitballs being controlled by like private interests. And I think that if we could just wrap our heads around that, and stop like putting our faith in these systems and these like individuals who like have this charisma and like I feel like you can authenticate that someone's a shitbag just by the virtue of them having passed the quality control checks of the corporations to be put in front of you on Fox News, right? Or CNN or like whatever. Like if you're like the pundit there, like in the suit and like they're talking about you, like you've passed the quality control checks. Like I feel like even like I was a Bernie bro, and like in retrospect. I even feel like Bernie Sanders was a puppet. Like I literally feel like he was the
controlled opposition.
Like how Trump was the furthest right puppet. To like get people who like don't participate in politics but are really right leaning. Yeah. He was there just to get them to engage, and they just rolled with it because they were getting a lot of movement. And Bernie was there just to get people on the far left who don't engage in politics to engage, right? Like at first it was like I'm Bernie and like we're gonna do all this great shit, and by the end of it was like if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you're doing something immoral and unethical. Right. And it's
he asked people to vote for Hillary too, which was the most corrupt candidate in history. Like she was so unlikable that we elected the Apprentice guy. Yeah. Who's been scamming in New York real estate for 40 years, you know? Yeah. Like,
I mean, like he literally can't operate a fucking charity in the state of New York because he was ripping off veterans, bro. Like, what a piece of dog shit.
Right. And Trump University, all that shit.
Oh, Trump steaks. Everything. That dude has ripped off so many people. His whole thing is going out and saying, look, I'm Donald Trump. I've got all this capacity for marketing. People know my name. I can make anything work. Give me enough money to get this off the ground. And then he takes 90% of the money that's given to him to get the business off the ground and turns it into executive salaries, which goes to him.
Right.
So he takes investor money, lines his pocket with it, and the ideas fall by the wayside because they're just cash extraction schemes.
Right.
Donald Trump's like a big predator. Like,
right.
big predator.
Absolutely.
But, so, you've been in Austin for how many years now?
1 year. Yeah, so, last July.
And so you're in South Austin, and you're like generally not feeling the vibe because it's got like big city problems, even though it isn't really a big city.
Well, yeah, and like the potholes, like the roads are shit. And I understand that in a place where it gets cold, right? Like when there's snow and ice and salt on the roads. Mm-hmm. But Austin doesn't have that problem.
Not at all.
And so I just don't understand why the roads are such dog shit. Because you go up to like DFW, my sister lives in Dallas, mm-hmm. right? They're in the Metroplex area. And the roads are immaculate, right? So, like, is it because they just spend the money better? Like, their tax base is wider? You know, there's a lot of oil money up there. But yeah, like...
So it's just like death by 1,000 cuts for you. It's just like all the little uncomfortabilities. Like, it's fucking hot. There's, like, big city problems. The potholes are there. There's lots of homeless. There's lots of, like, rampant hard drug use.
Right. Like, and, like, there's a lot of city bureaucracy, it feels like. So I went to a comedy festival last November called Skankfest in Houston.
Okay.
And I rent out a room for Airbnb in my apartment. So, I leave the key, like, in a lockbox, and so I left maybe like around 11 a.m. or something to go to Houston. The city comes by at like maybe around 1 p.m. and they leave a notice on my door. They're saying like, oh, your meter is like out of compliance or whatever. Like, resolve this within 24 hours or we're going to shut off your power, right? And so I'm out of town, so it gets cut off, right? So my Airbnb guests get in on Saturday. It's November, so I guess it's not that hot. I mean, it's still hot,
It's
right?
too hot.
So there's no AC, no hot water.
Nothing.
There's nothing. There's no refrigerate, nothing, right? So I'm in Houston, like, having to deal with this problem. It's a Saturday. So, like, I'm calling, the utility company, whatever.
Bro, Austin,
my landlord
Austin Electric?
Yeah, I think that's...
Those guys are the absolute shittiest.
Right.
They're the shittiest dudes on the planet. Make
right.
no mistake.
So, yeah, I can't get in contact with anybody. My landlord, who's responsible for all this shit, isn't available until Monday. So, I end up having to give a refund to the Airbnb, obviously. They're like, oh, can we just hang out? Like, we won't be there for too long. We'll light I have a fireplace. We'll light a fire. I was like, cool, dudes, whatever you want. Like, I'll refund your money. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, like, let's just make sure this is all copacetic. Like, we're all just trying to get on with our lives.
Right. So, so I get back into town, and so now I have to deal with this shit, right? So, I'm running around landlord, like, calling, like, the city or whatever, and I'm like, how do you shut somebody's power off, like, within 24 hours over a weekend? Like, there are no electricians I could even get out here. Yeah. And so, yeah, so just shit like that. So, like, it took, like, probably 72 hours for me to get my power back.
Yeah, so just like you said at the beginning of that big city bureaucracy bullshit.
Right, yeah. For a place, like, I don't even know if that, I'm sure there's some legal loophole for that, but, like, just leaving somebody without power for that, thank God it was November and not August,
Well, I can tell you, man, that Austin has changed a lot in the last, like, couple decades. Like, I've lived here my whole life, mm-hmm. and whenever I was on the come up, it was like the biggest city around, but it had like a small town feel to it. Right. And like that's all gone, and that's because like private equity has come to town. Like big like New York money, Los Angeles money is coming in and pricing everybody.
Silicon Valley.
That's why the homelessness has gone through the roof, because I mean, like, bro, like, it's like, let's be very frank.
Yeah.
The cost to rent a condo in downtown Austin is the same price as renting a condo in Manhattan right now. Like, fucking Manhattan prices in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And like most of the people from Austin are like good old boys, like fucking regular old people, you know, electricians, you know, this type of shit. Not your fucking
working class.
Yeah, not your tech wizards, not your fucking CEOs. Like those people have all started moving in,
right?
And private equity is just driving shit crazy. I remember being in college and arguing for a more socialist arrangement in terms of how the flow of capital goes.
Yeah.
And I remember being told by the professor that socialism breeds grayness, like a lack of creativity, and like that's how you just get like gray blocks everywhere, and it all looks exactly the same.
Right. I've seen those in Eastern Europe.
Well, let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
There was a gas station downtown Austin. Had been there for forever. Locally owned. Had a beautiful mural that had been there for 20 years.
Okay.
Of like Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Willie Nelson, like legends.
Yeah.
And it was like people would go take pictures at it and shit.
Right.
Private corporation bought the gas station.
Yeah.
They painted over the fucking mural gray because it's not part of the plan. Like you understand that whenever they're selling these franchises, it's X dimensions by X colors, and like they need to look the same.
Right.
You know, or else you're not a shell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so they literally painted over some of the most beautiful art I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
With flat gray paint for the sake of the maintenance of calculable profitability.
Right.
And so literally the thing that I was being told in college was going to be the result of socialism is now the result of like this dysfunctional capitalism that we have these days, where it's so top heavy and it's so streamlined that they don't even have the time to consider local variables and shit like that, and it just turns into like this big fucking tube of gray paste that they're squeezing out on everything. Right, you can just see the mark of private equity capitalism on almost anything whenever you see it. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking McDonald's, bro. Yeah. Look at how McDonald's used to look 30 years ago, bro. It looked like it was red and
like a
happy.
hamburger stand.
Yeah, and now it literally like, bro, you could fucking take the signs off and it could be a goddamn dentist's office.
Yeah.
You feel me? And so it's just frustrating to see how the influence of private equity and the influence of big money moving into the city has really negatively affected it in a way so that someone moving in really can't even enjoy it, because if it was a big enough city where you were insulated from some of this bullshit, you could deal with the problems, but it's so small that there's no escaping those problems whatsoever. Like it's like there's a fucking microscope on them now, because you've got the problems of a New York City in a town of in a city of 1 million people or something. There ain't 5 million people along the entire I-35 corridor from San Marcos to Temple.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so we're talking the entire Austin Metroplex, 5 million people tops.
Yeah.
And we're experiencing these type of problems. And so
the traffic.
Oh, the traffic's insane. So you know the reason why traffic's like that? In the 80s. Notice we don't have a loop. We don't have a loop.
No.
Like you can't make a full circle around Austin.
Right.
It sits on that lake. And they intentionally voted against putting a bridge up and making a full loop in the 80s because they thought that it would be a disincentive to people moving here. If they didn't build out the infrastructure, people wouldn't want to move here because they're in a loop. And it's like, bro, that's so low on the totem pole for people's decision-making hierarchy. Like, oh, they've got great schools, great weather, great people, jobs, this and that.
Right.
They don't have a loop around the city.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And so we've got 5 million people and there literally isn't a loop. And so all the traffic has to funnel into that little I-35 corridor through downtown. Yeah. And it is obnoxious. And it's been obnoxious. It's been obnoxious my whole life. It's really out of this world.
And are they working on a remedy for that or not?
Not that I'm... So they're... I think they're trying to put in like a train that goes from the... But it's like...
Does anybody ride that shitty train? Like the...
No. So
like,
I'll tell you what...
They're always, the railroad crossings.
I'll tell you what, the only people who ride it are Californians.
Okay.
Like, if you're riding that train, I can go ahead and fucking verify you're either poor or from California. Like, it's just literally that simple. And, like, they were talking about shutting it down, and, like, the local Californians who live in Leander, like, do the biggest fit. And, like, because, like, you're getting in the way of our, like, fucking public transport. Like, it was a big deal for them. Okay. Even though no one ever rides it, right? They're just, like, fucking got to stick up their ass because it's, like, not the way it's supposed to be or whatever. But, yeah, no one rides that fucking train. No one's ever ridden that fucking train. I used to have a shop on 5th Street at the Saltillo Plaza.
Okay.
And, I watched the crowds come off that train, and there weren't crowds. Like literally at the downtown stop, and no one's getting off the train.
Right.
And so I don't think that anybody uses it. I just think that it's like,
I mean, some people for show.
Well, I mean, some people use it. Well, like it's a good idea, right? But like,
it is. But I
think in 20 years more people will use the train, right? But like right now, everybody's got their own whip these days. Everybody's got their own cars in Austin. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not big to the point where people are stacked in. Like, bro, you've been to New York.
Yeah.
That's a fucking whole different vibe, bro.
Yeah.
Like, literally, there's just building after building after building after building of nothing but fucking apartments. You know what I'm saying? And so, whenever you have that dense a population, it makes a little bit more sense. We don't have that dense a population right now. You know, there's a whole lot of fucking space out here, bro. Like, we just keep kind of going out. Or at least that's the hope. I mean, they're definitely stacking folks in, but I mean, there's just development happening in Georgetown, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Leander, Cedar Park, fucking Manor, Bastrop, Marble Falls, you know, San Marcos, New Braunfels, like all these other cities where like they're stacking in apartment complexes and buildings and shit, but it's at least like spread enough out to where like it isn't literally stacked in on top of one another. The mother of my child's from the Bronx, New York, and so like I've been able to like experience the difference fucking firsthand.
Yeah,
I
very dense.
I did not do well in that environment, bro. I am too anxious and like too Texan. Like, give me my fucking personal space. Yeah, like you bump into me, I'm gonna hit you in the fucking eardrum, bro. Like, do not touch me. And like, that's not the case in New York, bro. Like, you're gonna get fucking touched, bro. And like, that shit ain't for me, bro.
Well,
like,
I mean,
if I ain't got this much space, bro, then like, pun ain't fucking comfortable.
Well, I mean, pre-COVID, like you get into the subway at rush hour, and it's a literal sardine can. Like you're like smashed up against.
Yeah, so people. I got shoved into that, and I was like, man, like I was literally like having to get talked off the cliff. Like I was literally like about to start cracking heads, and like, my old ladies happen to be like, "Don't chill out." And I wonder why we're split up because I'm a maniac. But you know, that's life, bro. Like, don't put me in an uncomfortable environment. Like I'm a fucking gorilla. Like real life big white ape. Yeah. Like don't put me in that environment. Like I grew up in the country, bro. I went to school in a town of 1,200 people, and I grew up in the country. Yeah. Like literal cornfields. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm used to big open spaces and like room to breathe and like having my personal space like truly respected. And, like, that was just like that part of the social contract had just like gone way out the window. Yeah. In places like New York. So it's not for me, bro. I need my space. I don't do well enough with controlling my anxiety. Like I have a lot of like really out of control anxiety sometimes, and like I just have to like put myself in environments where I mean like even going to the shows, bro. Like going to the shows, I have so much fucking anxiety at them shows. Really? Bro, I don't like drunks. I don't like being around drunks. Like I understand, bro. Every time I go downtown, like downtown, I get to a fight. Yeah. Like, it's not even in the sense, like, I'm looking for a fight. It's just that, like, the guys who are, like, 18 to 24 down there are looking to either fuck or fight. And, like, they
have to get their aggression out.
Exactly. You know? And so they're either going to, like, grit their teeth and fuck some girl's brains out, or they're going to grit their teeth and fight some motherfucker. And, like, I don't know. Like, you see me, like, I feel like I'm not the one to fuck with. Like, like big old guy.
Same
like,
here, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, there's something about it where, like, they feel like they can like check a big guy and like feel real good about it. Yeah. And like, bro, shit goes 0 to 100 for me so quick. Like, it's all respect until you're being ugly, and then I'm way better at that. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna be like, if you're a nice guy to me, I'll be nicer than you. I promise. Yeah. Like, I'm much better at being a nice guy than you are, and if you would be an asshole, I'll be a bigger asshole to you. I'm better at that too. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so, I don't know. Like, I like fucking shit turns off. I stop thinking. Like, I'm already drunk. I'm just acting the way I fucking feel. Yeah. Like, motherfuckers like, fuck you. It's like, bro, I'll slap that look off your fucking face so fast. Yeah. And then it's off. You know what I'm saying? But, like, so I get looked at wrong? No. I get bumped? No. Yeah. Motherfucker act, like, really aggressive towards me? Oh, it's an immediate fight. Like, I got taught to, like, if we're fighting, throw the first punch. I'm not going to fucking get hit in the mouth. Fuck you. Yeah. You're being aggressive towards me, it's going down. Yeah. And so, I'm out. I'm fucking out. So one of my podcast studios in Taylor, bro. Yeah. So I ain't even got to worry about walking out front and dealing with a fucking crackhead walking down 6th Street or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just... Yeah. I know that I'm a menace, bro. Like, I know for a fact that, like, with enough exposure, I will definitely find myself in, like, a real-life jail situation for, like, getting into some type of altercation that, like, isn't so socially acceptable in 2022. So I just really try and control the environment.
It's odd that Austin comedy is concentrated around 6th Street, right? Like, I don't know, like, if it was always that way, like, you've been here for a lot longer, but, like, I know Cap City was always in the Domain, or, like, always North Austin. Velveeta Room was always on 6th Street, but, like, Creek in the Cave, Vulcan, and then Rogan's opening his club.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, up until the last 5-6 years, comedy in Austin wasn't a fucking thing.
Right.
Like, there was the Cap City Comedy Club, and, like, a couple other little spots, but, like...
Moon Tower, I think, was the
Moon Tower, like, they would do a comedy festival once a year, but, like, it was never, like, the fucking thing.
Right.
But Joe Rogan moving here just brought a fucking tidal wave of comedians and people who are, like, looking to be content creators and podcasters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it's been really dope to, like, see that influx. I mean, like, I'm so happy that we're here now getting to talk.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's, like, really, really interesting folks. You know, I think that generally speaking, like, comedians are folks who see the funny side of shit, right? Like, that's what makes you fucking funny.
Yeah.
Right? And you guys tend to have, like, a little bit thicker skin because you're used to cracking jokes, and, like, you can tell, bro, like, I'm kind of an abrasive fucking dude. Like, I might really piss the wrong person off just by, like, saying what the fuck I have to say and not giving a fuck about their feelings.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's nice to be able to bring in people who have a thick enough skin to, like, hear someone have a different opinion and to hear, like, some direct shit talk to you. Like, I might fucking talk shit about your fucking bald head. Like, who fucking knows? Like, who fucking knows? Like, who fucking knows where it'll go? Like, I'm an idiot, right? And so it's nice to be able to, like, the folk like you who are coming around, I really appreciate it. And one thing that really bothers me about, like, the conservative folk around here is they try and act like, we don't want you around. And it's like, bro, if anybody's telling you that, fuck them. Like, flat us out, fuck them, bro. You guys are all so welcome here. Everybody loves the cultural diversity in Austin. Like, Austin's a neat little city. It's been it's had some nasty stuff happen to it with the influx of private equity, but like the people there are all really sweet. And, like, everybody is going to be really, really happy that you're here and that you're bringing your own unique flavor. I had a buddy who explained the typical Austinites to me in a really eloquent way. He's my buddy Mark Standusky. Shout him out. He's a good fucking guy. He worked with me for a little bit on one of my other businesses, my drone dispatch company. He worked with me with some stuff there. And he said that if you were to take equal parts northeasterly gentleman, like, think New York business suit guy, and San Francisco hippie, and Southern hospitality, and rolled those three concepts into a ball, that's like the copy, cut, and paste person from Austin that you'll find. Right?
I'd say that,
Doesn't it seem like it? It's like, if, like, it feels right. Like, whenever you just sit back and let that wash over you, it, like, kind of rings true. You know, it's like there's just enough business, but just enough hippie, and just enough, like, sweet mama type of energy where, like, it all kind of, like, it's the Southern hospitality that holds it all together. If it weren't for the Southern hospitality, this shit would fucking go off the rails so quick. And the mother of my child, Jen, whenever we went to New York, we visited family, and she was like, why is everyone being so fucking rude? I'm like, Jen, we're not experiencing Southern hospitality now. Like, you're used to the cashier being like, how you doing? You're used to, like, people in the grocery store giving you a nod. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not happening here at all. And so just that, like, extra level of, like, general kindness to one another, like, even if you, like, peek under the hood and they're like a fucking racist MAGA hat wearing motherfucker, like, in passing they're typically going to be like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that glue really, like, holds it together pretty good, and I hope that we don't ever lose that. I think that we may lose it in, like, Austin, and I feel like we've pretty effectively lost it in Dallas. I still like Houston a lot, though. Houston's, like, a really cool city.
I like Houston.
Houston's a really cool city. It's, like, really, really diverse. Like, I think it got voted the most diverse city in the United States last year.
Makes sense.
So, I mean, you know, they got, like, a huge Filipino community, a huge African-American community.
Vietnamese, I think, too.
Yeah, lots of Vietnamese, lots of Asians. The only thing that Austin
Middle Eastern as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place. So you get this, like, neat little melting pot. And so I think that Texas gets a really bad rap, right? Like, I've gone and, like, online, I like to do a lot of shit posting. And I'll do Texas Tuesday.
I'm surprised.
You know what I'm saying? And I'll do Texas Tuesdays.
Okay.
Nothing gets me more flack online than Texas Tuesday.
Okay.
People see something about Texas and they're like, pack of fucking troglodytes, pack of like MAGA hat wearing crazy motherfuckers. You realize that during the election, whenever Trump got elected, we voted in Ted Cruz. Like, we were like, fuck all of y'all. Yeah. We're voting Texas. And I think that there's something, like, realize that if we just, like, drop the rest of the United States, we'd have, like, one of the 15 highest GDPs on the planet.
Right.
And yet the United States GDP is negative.
Yeah.
So how bad the rest of the country got to be doing to drag us down to negative whenever we would have one of the top 15 GDPs on the planet alone?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, also Texas is the only state that has the legal right to secede from the Union.
I believe I heard that before.
Yeah. So because
it was a republic, and then
exactly. Yeah. We were like an independent thing. We were just like getting taken from Indians. We were like a unified thing.
Yeah.
And so like if Kentucky were to be like, we're not part of the United States, like there's literally like legal recourse that can happen.
Right.
Like we're immediately gonna like march tanks in and like we're gonna take you back. Right. You can't do that to Texas.
But would we want Kentucky back?
I'm telling you. If as from a Texan, the whole rest of the motherfucker can slide off into the Atlantic.
Right.
Like all y'all out there who ain't from Texas.
Yeah.
Get to Texas before we light a match to the rest of this motherfucker, because everywhere else sucks, bro. I mean, so here's the thing. People are dope everywhere.
Yeah.
And nature is dope everywhere. Right? There's just, like, politics and social economic systems that cause, like, mass poverty and shit like that. And, like, we're not experiencing that, like, mass poverty here. And there's lots of, like, Texas pride. Like, people are, like, really proud of where they're at here. Yeah. And so there's, like, a lot of, like, really neat things that are happening. Everybody's packing a gun. So, like, there's no, like, fear. Like, if someone was like robbing you in broad daylight, like that motherfucker's gonna get shot is like the general feeling that I have.
Right.
Because I'm gonna do it. But beyond that, like the grannies have guns. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's like a much safer environment where everybody's effectively armed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or at least that's how I feel about it. Like if you look at the number of murders that happen in a city like Austin versus the number of murders that happen in a city like
pick one.
Like Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Like a place where, like Chicago, a place where like guns have been made illegal. The only people who have them are criminals.
Right.
And that makes everybody else a fish in a barrel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like no one out here is a fucking fish in a barrel.
No.
And so there's like levels of like mutual respect that have to be achieved.
Yeah.
Across the board. And then again, there's that like Southern hospitality mixed in where like everybody's just like generally sweet on the surface.
Yeah.
And so I love this place. I mean, if you can't fucking tell, I love this fucking place, bro. Like I've been here my whole life, and I wouldn't rather be fucking anywhere. There's a few like little countries that are like really beautiful that I'd like to go. Like there's like some like Eastern Asian countries that are like carbon positive and shit, and like you know, like literally like they're just like big fucking forest preservations, basically. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to go just like live in the fucking woods, but I'm a fucking Buddha. Like I'm an awakened Godhead experiencing myself with my own entertainment. I'm fucking infinitely old, right? Like the participation in capitalism's kind of like it's lost
necessary evil.
No, it's lost its pizzazz for me, right? Like I if you take enough LSD, bro, the concept of money gets like just kind of silly.
Right.
Which, have you ever done any psychedelics at all?
I haven't, no.
Bro.
I am curious.
Bro, do you want to do some DMT with me? Bro, you got 15 minutes. We can talk to God today, bro. We can do it. We can do it. You don't have to agree yes or no. We can talk about it after the podcast.
Yeah,
like,
sounds good.
The fucking offer's on the table, bro. We can go and like see the whole thing. I've had some pretty like... So, any drug use out of you at all?
Pot.
Like a little weed here and there? Like, but not even... I mean, I offered you a blunt where you walked in the door and you were like, nah.
No.
I offered you a drink and you were like, nah. You're pretty... But I mean, you're not like against it at all. You're just...
No.
You're just pretty chill with like fucking regular old state of mind. Like, you don't need to jazz up the mix at all.
Yeah.
That's good, bro. Like, you realize that like the way that you're feeling is like what the people who are doing drugs are gunning for.
Right.
Right? Like, so don't feel weird about not doing drugs. Like, it's gotten to the
I'm
point...
not.
Well, it's gotten to the point now where like you talk to people and they're like, I don't do any drugs, and they almost feel like they have to like be in the closet.
Apologetic,
Yeah, and it's like, bro, no, like you're fucking happy, bro. Like good for fucking you, bro.
Right.
I got to do LSD and meditate for 6 hours, but I want to fucking feel good. So which isn't entirely true. I fucking feel great. I just like to be silly about my psychedelic use.
Yeah.
I'll fucking take LSD and do DMT at the peak like a fucking tyrannosaur, bro. I'm a madman when it comes to this shit. My big thing about psychedelics is that they like... Let me see. Let's do something for the people at home. If you were to just look at this, well, I want to do it right here because that's going to be where my logo is going to be.
Okay.
But if you were to just see this right here, and this was the only way you ever saw this ever, you would just think that it was a two-dimensional rectangle.
Right.
Right? It's just a two-dimensional rectangle suspended in space.
Yeah.
And that's reality, my dude. Like, everybody is just looking at this reality on the surface.
Okay.
And you take LSD and it goes whoosh, and it goes, oh, fuck, there's whole extra dimensions to this. There's a whole, like, layer of depth to this fucking thing that, like, I'd forgotten how to recognize because I've been passing my reality through the filter of how does it relate to capital gain for me.
Yeah.
Or, like, whatever, right? And so, it's like, whenever I took enough LSD, I saw the face of God in the lead of a pencil.
Okay.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And so, like, that level of profoundness exists everywhere. Like, bro, whenever you're here now and you're not, like, thinking, and you're not thinking about what happened yesterday, and you're not worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, and you're not actively, like, being confronted with a flashing series of images in your brain, or, like, a train of symbols and thought and words, whenever all that turns off, bro.
Yeah.
Bruh. Magic just erupts off the surface of everything, bro.
Yeah.
And that's what psychedelics help do, is they just change your psychological orientation to a degree that it is difficult for you to keep your typical trains of thought.
Okay.
And so you're just kind of stuck with looking at things as they are right now. And that's where, like, bro, like, where the foreground and the background come together, bro, like, that line right there, bro. The energy that's, like, the fucking fifth dimension comes bleeding in right there, bro. There's so many neato things that can happen. I mean, I talk about this story a lot, but I ordered $200 worth of hash, and $200 worth of LSD showed up instead. And so me and my cousin did it all. Like, fucking assholes, bro. And I had my heart waiting against the feather of truth in the hall of Anubis. Are you familiar with who Anubis is?
No.
You know the Egyptian gods, the tall dude with the dog face?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, so that's Anubis, and he has a hall where they weigh your heart against the feather of truth.
Okay.
Right? And that's, like, basically how you get judged. And I went through the whole process. I got so high that I thought that I died and I was never coming back.
Right.
And I got to literally go through the process of being judged. And at the end of it, it was basically like, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Like, keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be just fine. And in that moment, it struck me that I was being communicated with by the galactic consciousness.
Okay.
Like, everything that you experience, bro, is getting downloaded and stored on, like, a big solid-state drive on the back end, bro.
Okay.
And that solid-state drive is aware of itself, bro. And it has access to all the knowledge and all the experience that's ever been had by any sentient thing.
Yeah.
Anywhere, not just like here on Earth, but in every infinitely slightly variated version of Earth, and in every alien planet there's ever been, and in every slightly variated version of that alien planet there's ever been. Like, bro, it's like the most incredibly robust and wise thing that you've ever experienced. It was like a flowing river of light in my periphery, bro.
Yeah.
And it told me that I was doing all right, and I realized that I was being communicated with. And the first thing that occurred to me to ask was, what's the purpose of life?
Of course, yeah.
And it told me. It's a 4-letter word, and I'll give you one opportunity to guess it right now.
Fuck.
It's close. It's because fucking is an act of love, bro.
Yeah.
It's love. Love is the answer, bro.
Yeah.
In every circumstance, that's the way to be. Like, literally, if the universe is infinite, right? And it's splitting off into, like, slightly variated forms of itself as we pass through it.
Right.
The thing that causes it to split, right, is whenever a sentient being makes a decision.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's to blink, to breathe, to, like, anything, bro. Like, any conceivable, communicable decision that you or the bugs or the dogs or anything makes, the universe splits into two. And the primary intersection that we're coming up on whenever we get to that split point is whether we're going to act out of the principle of love or out of the principle of fear. And if you act out of the principle of love, I promise, bro, that you'll get hurt. It's not going to be, like, the best throughout, but I promise, bro, by the time you get to the end of this playthrough, you'll look back at what you've done and feel really satisfied. It'll have been a really, really beautiful experience.
Yeah.
And that's the point, bro. It's like, fuck capital gain, fuck all the bullshit that, like, everybody else is telling you to measure your life by to determine how well you're living.
Right.
Bro, the only metric that fucking matters is how true to yourself you're being and how loving you are. And at that, I feel like we can call this a podcast.
Yeah, I just wanted to, since I shit on Austin so much, I wanted to take a second to tell you what I do like about it.
Sure, yeah, dude, absolutely.
Which is, like, the comedy community, right? Like, it's really awesome, meeting a lot of cool people, and it's very supportive, and a lot of opportunity. So, like, it's a lot easier, I think, to grow as a comic here versus New York or LA. So
do you think that's a matter of we have a healthy community that's growing, or is it that those other places are already so saturated that like it's hard to find your voice in a crowded marketplace, or is it like a complex combination of both?
I would say that there's, a lot of gatekeepers.
So not as many gatekeepers here.
Right.
Right, like if you want to get to the bag, there's someone here who's like, let's get to it. Right.
Right.
So I've ran business in Austin my whole life.
Okay.
And the thing that shocked me as 22, 23 running my own businesses.
Yeah.
Is how many people went out of their way to facilitate my success.
Right.
Like people want to see each other do well around here.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that you're experiencing that, right? Like,
right.
And that was what we talked about earlier, is that when it comes right down to it, like the thing that is the selling point for Austin is the people.
Right.
Right. The people are dope. Everyone's going to go out of their way to see you succeed. Everybody's chill. Everybody's got like Southern hospitality in them, and like they're gonna try their best to do right by you. And I'm really glad that you found your way down here and that you're enjoying it, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, dude,
all right.
I feel like we can call that. So, one last time, introduce yourself to the camera, and like if you have anything going on, make sure that everybody gets one last opportunity to hear that before we go.
Okay, yeah. So Adam Boules, Adam the Comic on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. I have a show this Friday, so all my ticket links are there. So I have a show this Friday. Next Saturday, I'm up in Fort Worth at Hyenas. And then next Sunday, I'm competing in Funniest Person in Austin down at Cap City in the Domain. So all that's going to be on my Instagram.
So your show, what do y'all call it? Does it like have
a so it's the Dark House Comedy Show.
Okay.
It's the second Friday of every month at Alamo Draft House Muller, so the one in North Austin.
Mueller?
Mueller.
So it's like northwest Austin.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so the one off Airport Boulevard. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so we have Hans Kim coming to our next one, so he's a regular on Kill Tony.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he's touring with Tony Hinchcliffe and Joe Rogan now, so he's always on the private plane opening up for Rogan. 15,000, 20,000 people arenas and stuff. So we got him. You're coming to it.
Yeah. I'm absolutely going to be there. The only thing is that, so I do, I'm a single dad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so
sure.
It's funny. I keep saying we're going to end the podcast, but fuck that. We're having a good combo, man. We're having a good combo. That's the point.
Yeah.
I'm a single dad.
Right.
And so
How old is your kid?
He's like 2.5.
Okay.
He's a little tyrant. And God, I love that kid so much. But yeah, fuck. I started thinking about how much I love my kid, and I completely lost my train of thought. What the fuck was I saying?
Well, I asked how old he is to ask, if he could bring him. But
so on the subject of bringing him is, I probably won't be able to bring him. And so, like, depending on when it falls, I'm going to be, I watch my kid, like, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
And then the next week I'll have him Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Then, or Sunday, Monday. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So like depending on how it's lining up, I might not be able to make it, but
you'll make out to one of them.
Exactly. So it's going to be on my radar, and I'm going to do my very best. And eventually the shithead will be in school, and I'll be able to move around a little bit more. But between here and there, my priority is to take care of my kiddo first and foremost. But dude, I appreciate you for putting it on my radar, and I'm going to try my very best to make it out, man. Because like I said earlier, I'm certain that anything you're putting on is going to be a fantastic production.
Yeah. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you for coming on, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been a real pleasure, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It's Adam Boules, and he's been a fantastic guest. Everybody give him a follow on social media and stuff. You know what to do. Y'all go give him some love.
Monkey mouth. Monkey mouth. Monkey mouth. Monkey mouth.